Welcome back to Redesigning Minecraft Mobs, the show where I lose about 5% of my sanity every single episode. In this episode, I truly went above and beyond and created some of my finest work yet. First, I had to choose which mob I would redesign and some inspiration for what I should change it to. I thought a blaze would be cool, or maybe a skeleton, but I settled on the Enderman for this one. Next, I had to find some inspiration on how to redesign it, so I looked up some art just like last time. I found some good stuff, some less good stuff, but nothing really caught my eye. Then one day, I downloaded this game called Fall Guys. A couple of people actually recommended it to me in the comment section, and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool how they have all these skins from other games. That's right, we got an idea. Now all we gotta do is make ourselves an Enderman Fall Guy skin. Simple enough, I'd say. I downloaded a reference image from their website, started blocking a shape, and eventually just said, nah, I'm just gonna download it. The one I downloaded wasn't quite ready for greatness yet, so I had to fix that first. Thankfully, that was easy enough, thanks to all the random ways to be lazy I've discovered. Finally, I had a model all ready to go, and now I just needed a costume. First, I extended the head because my plan was to fit Enderman eyes up there. The eyes were probably the hardest part to get right because I had to blend the low-res style of Minecraft with the inflatable vibe of Fall Guys. Next, I had to get the colors right because that would either make or break the look of the model. I used the eyedropper to yoink colors right off the original image, but it still didn't look right because we were missing texture. I couldn't just take the Enderman texture because I needed something more custom than that. So I put together this extremely big-brained procedural pixel texture that starts with the cow texture and using a bunch of disgusting math notes becomes an Enderman texture. And I was so proud of it that I showed it to some of you on Discord, but it turns out that some of you are much better at this than I am. I mapped the texture on, but it was hard to distinguish between the colors. To fix this problem, I used a color ramp to make sure the darker colors were also more glossy, and this sold the costume look even more, thankfully. Next, I decided to extend the arms because I thought it would be more accurate and also really funny if some costumes had arms that were way too long and kind of just dragged behind them. Oh wow. This is awful. I love it. Then I actually had to position the arms. There were two ways to do this. I could A, rig the model and it would be fully posable, easy to animate, or B, I could do literally anything but that because I really don't want to. I ended up going with B. I tried using the pose brush in sculpting mode, but I'm pretty easily distractible and this started happening. Even though this is clearly superior to the normal design, I was trying to match their style as closely as possible. I ended up just kind of rotating the arms manually since I only needed one pose and then I'm done. For my background, I used my usual beveled plane with 3-point light setup. You can't go wrong with it, it's pretty cool. Blue looked nice, so I just went with that. I decided to sculpt some ruffles on the costume so it looked artificial and not like some kind of Fall Guy symbiote. I do not like what I just implied there. And here it is, everybody, the final result. This is my final render. I think it matches the style pretty well. Mediatonic, I know what you're thinking. Yes, I am open for business, just please keep it to 1 email at a time, am I right, fellas? No, for real, I really like this one and it barely took any effort. Hey, that reminds me of something else that can be liked with very little effort. Please like the video. So now that I had one masterpiece under my belt, it was time to make another one. I thought long and hard about which mob I should redesign next, and I decided on the Iron Golem. Feel free to vote in the next ones in the comments, by the way. I didn't exactly know where to start, so I decided to get an actual model in there and just kind of see what would happen. I nabbed this guy's model and threw the original texture on it. Finally, I had a stroke of genius what I wanted to do with the model. Something that very few people know about me is that back when I was about 3 years old, I used to make mods for the game. So I'm basically a professional texture artist at this point. This was truly my chance to shine, so I decided to make a fire golem and replace the vines with magma and everything else with netherite and other stuff. This guy could hang out in nether fortresses, and just to add that extra bit of detail to them, I fired up Photoshop and started messing around with the texture. I dragged in all those blocks we talked about to use as reference and used the color picker to start recoloring it. Once I verified that it worked well enough, I went through and painted the rest of the model. I used the existing color patterns to define where I would paint the various materials. This part took the longest, but it was one of the best parts in the process. It was pretty relaxing, I'd say, and it was really satisfying to finish it up and see the final result. I wanted the metal parts to be really reflective and the other parts to just be normal, so I created a custom roughness map in Photoshop so that the white areas would be really rough and the dark areas would be really glossy. I did the same thing for the lava so that I could make those areas emit light, but not the other parts. Finally, I applied all of these things to the final material and got to admire the model. But we were missing the second most important thing, and that is a background. We had to display it somewhere, otherwise it would still be a really boring render. I pulled out this program I found last episode called Mineways and imported a nether fortress to see if that would work. It didn't. it didn't work at all. So my next thought was to make something custom, and you know what? I tried my best, but I suck at building in this game. So then I tried using a beveled background again, but come on, that's way too lazy. So then I tried using a glossy black square on the ground, and that was even more lazy. I don't really know what I was thinking. Then I thought, okay, what if we just import a huge section of the Nether and see if that works? Yes, that is even more lazy technically, but this time in a good way. I found this one spot where we could see a lot of the background. Unfortunately, we could see too much of the background, but this was easily fixed by making the background the same color of the Nether fog. Not really sure what to call it. I put the golem on the ledge here, and that worked pretty well. So now it's time for lighting. It was way too dark, but I brought over some glowstone so I could justify putting a big yellow area light here. Here's the final shot, definitely one of my favorites. If you don't agree, that's alright, but I think it would be cool in the game. Again, Microsoft, I know, one email at a time, man. There's enough to go around. Anyways, click right here to watch the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody, and take it easy.